everybody, I'm here at the hangar, and today we have a little bit of a different change of scenery. I'm here in my office. We are caught up on flying for the day, and I'm just catching up on some office work. But I figured I would take this opportunity to tell you guys a little bit more about what happens when we get a phone call for some work, whether it's spray or fertilizer or cover crop. To start with, as soon as we get a phone call, we pull out our work order system. We've created an internal work order that basically anyone that works here who answers the phone can go down this work order and ask all the questions that we need to get that process started. On the work order, we've got our the date of the phone call. We have the grower information or whoever called, whether it's a grower or another company or something like that. You know what? You guys should probably just see this. So let me turn the camera around and give you guys a better look at our work order form. So here's what the work order looks like. Let's say you said, ring, ring, hello, I'd like some aerial application done. I'm going to sit down and we have these papers at the ready. And this is just for us to know, like, okay, what's going on. So anyway, we have our date. So let's say I'm doing this in June. So let's pretend like someone called today and they're looking for a blueberry application. So this is on 6/22. 4, and we'll just say sample grower called, and we'd say, okay, when is your application window? And to be honest with you, most growers call when they already needed the spray, like yesterday. So a lot of times it'll be an ASAP, or let's say they didn't want it on until 2 days from now. So 6/24, and let's say the application of the product they're putting on has like a 3-day window, so we would have until 6/27/24 to get it on. You'll find that a lot of specialty crops do have a window of application, and others, like some of the grain crops, will have a larger window of application that could be like more than a week long or 2 weeks long. Fields, bogs, that refers to cranberries, and different cranberry farmers will call them marshes. We're here in New Jersey and we call them bogs. So bogs refers to cranberry bogs. Fields would just be, if it's a field, they basically just mean the same thing. So let's say we wanted home farm. The grower wanted their home farm sprayed. And let's say that they are doing blueberries. We'll say blueberries. And let's say they had 50 acres. That'll make it easy. All right, so next they would say what product they're looking for. Usually our growers will call us and tell us what kind of product they'd like applied. So let's say they wanted some type of insecticide. They would tell us specifically what type. Usually they have something in mind, but there are several different insecticides that you could use on blueberries for this example. So right now we'll just write a generic insecticide. And then we would write the product rate per acre. Just make up a number and say 10 ounces per acre. You could even have something in pints. So you could have like 5 pints per acre. So options in there for what product rate per acre. The label is the law. Anyone who does anything on the farm around any kind of pesticides knows that the chemical label is the law. And so we would double check everything that this grower is telling us that they would like applied. We double check each label to make sure we're applying it at the correct rate, at the correct timing, and that it's legal to put on by air. There are some products out there on certain crops where they are not legal to spray by air. So that's something that we check as well. Fertilizer for this refers to dry. So in this example, blueberries would not be dry fertilizer, that would be spray. They have the option of ordering the chemical through us, or if they'd like to drop it off. So let's say in this example, they have their own and they wanted to drop it off. Let's say we would make a note because they're just calling now. Will drop off any kind of comments about that application we could put in here. Other questions that really need to be asked, and this is just a sample to kind of get that conversation going with the grower. Are there any workers in the field? So a lot of blueberries are hand picked for fresh fruit. And it's really important that there are no workers in the fields and that we abide by the appropriate reentry intervals. So we always ask if there's workers in the fields or even nearby fields. If they have a field next door that they're working, or if their neighbor has workers in the field. All of these are really important. Bees in the area. I get a lot of comments on a lot of my social media asking about bees. Bees are great. We use them as pollinators here on our very own cranberry farm. We bring them in every year for pollination. Long story short, I love bees, and it's important that we know if they have bees in their field or if their neighbors have any bees in the field or anything like that. Irrigation. A lot of products that we put on may need to be watered in, such as dry fertilizer, or they may not want to put it on when it's too hot in the day, so they'll irrigate beforehand. Just any other kind of nuances with that. And do you have any other concerns? So do you have a neighbor that gets a little disgruntled? Do you have, a neighbor that has horses? Anything like that is really good for us to know. And that's our work order system. I'm going to flip this camera back around and talk to you guys a little bit more about what we do from there. Now that we have our work order filled out, the next thing that happens is that a grower will generally drop off a map or email a map. If it's a grower that we already know, chances are we have their map in our system, but we always like to confirm the exact fields and acreage with each grower. If you're wondering why I have pink sticky notes, I just have a lot of the company names covered up just to keep this kind of like an ambiguous kind of example. So let's say that one of our growers, this is one of their maps. I actually made this map because they like to really draw out everything that they're going to put on every time. So I made them this map and they have copies of it. So you can see right here that they have two different products that they're going to put on. This was a dry fertilizer map. So they have two different products. One's in green, one's in red, and the different products listed right here. I would simply go into our map software system and click those. I'm going to show you guys that here in just a second, so bear with me. Drop off something like this. Not all of the maps. This is a great map. Not all of them look like this. Some maps are better than others, but we usually do our best to communicate with the farmer and get the exact field addresses if we can to make sure we have the right maps. Then we will put them in our online system and resend them back to confirm with the farmer to make sure that everything looks right on both ends. That way there's no miscommunication. Let me show you a little bit about our online mapping system. The system that we use is called ChemMan. A woman who created the software. She is amazing, and so is her team. They have an awesome product, and they're very helpful if we have questions or if we have any updates that we want to make to the system. So let me jump in there and show you how we would take one of these grower maps and put them in our system. Here we are in our ChemMan software. To add a new job, we go to Manage Job Scheduling and then Add a New Job. So I clicked Add a New Job. I just have some stuff in the schedule there still. So all I did was click Manage Job Scheduling, Add New Job. And let's say we wanted to, let's say this was sample. All right. And we would select our locations. So this is an example of someone we already had their map in the system, let's say. If we went to sample grower, these are actually old cranberry bogs that Austin's family used to farm. They leased this ground. I do not believe these are cranberries anymore. I just mapped those in our system. You would select those locations, you'd click OK. You would say, yep, that looks good. The crop looks good. All that looks great. You could select the chemical that you wanted to apply. You could put your rate per acre in right here. You could put in all of your information about who's going to fly it, what the tank capacity is, what rate you're putting out, how many acres. From there, it will generate you a nice loader worksheet so your loaders know exactly what they're putting into the airplane. And you can also print a nice pilot map. that you can send to the pilots, and they have as well. So we're in the applicator map here. It's going to show you what you would put on there. And again, it has all of the information about the product you're applying right here, but it is the applicator's final responsibility to check the label and make sure everything is being applied in accordance with the label. So here's your map that it would generate, and you can export the map into all sorts of different types of files. We also have an area for the pilot to write down all of their applied information so they can turn that in after the job's complete. That's just a brief look at our work order and how we put jobs into our system. There is a lot more prep work, believe it or not, that goes on the ground before we can take that job and load everything up in the airplane to go fly. Each state that we operate in has different regulations. Additionally, each product that we use has a different label, and those labels have different restrictions. Some of them also have different restrictions in different states. It is a very extensive process to make sure that everything is being applied according to the label. So this may seem a little simplified today, but just please know that there is quite a bit more that goes into this than just taking one phone call and putting the maps in. If you guys can't tell, it's pretty warm in here. I am getting a little warm, so I'm going to get what I need to get done for the day and then head out. I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I really hope you learned something. As always, thank you all so much for being here. I'll see you next time.